This sweet family in Boise is drowning financially. Mom works part-time, dad works full-time, and together they're bringing in $94,000 a year. But with a summer packed with fun and overspending on the fun, gas, food, travel, well, you can say their budget is a little overstuffed. She tells me she feels ashamed and she feels stuck living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the thing about shame. It has no place in our budget. So together, we're going to be diving into this family's budget to tackle overspending and find a plan that works really well for them, that gets them out of this cycle of paycheck to paycheck. But can it actually happen? Let's find out. Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Real Life Budget Review, and thank you to today's sponsor, Monarch Money. Monarch Money is a personal finance app that can help you create a budget, track your financial growth, collaborate with a partner, all on one secure, super customizable app, but more on that in just a minute. Let's dive into today's review. I asked, what do you do for work? She says, I am a mom to two and I tutor part-time 10 to 15 hours per week. My husband is a site manager at a major gas company. I asked, what is your annual salary? She says $93,681. Very specific. They live in Boise, Idaho. I asked, what is the biggest thing you struggle with financially? And she says, daily spending. This mentality of it's only $5, $10, $20. And eating out. I feel you. How many people have literally said it's only $5 20 different times in the month? Let me know below. I asked, what are your top 2 to 3 financial goals you want to accomplish? She said, 1, I want to feel ahead, not need to put off paying mortgage until next paycheck. Uh-oh. Number 2, emergency fund and other savings. 3, we want to buy a bigger house and rent out our current one. Our current home is a perfect rental house. I asked, how much debt do you have, not including the mortgage? She said $51,531.97. We're going to break that down in just a second. I asked, how much do you have in savings for an emergency fund? She said $8,500, not too shabby. And I said, anything else you'd like us to know? She said, I want to be better at not spending money on the day-to-day things. Things feel so necessary in the moment, but then I feel major guilt when I do our budget. I check in on our budget weekly as part of my general routine, so I'm very aware of how much money goes out, but I still can't seem to shake it. Help. I will admit I'm very ashamed of my spending habits, and it's something I am trying to fix. We are just trying to figure out if we can even break even each month, assuming the spending is under control. I just feel like we're treading water, living month to month. We have big financial goals, and I want to have investment properties that make us money each month, but I know that means we have to pay down our debt and save up a big down payment for that to happen. Yes, that's exactly my thought. She says, I use my Costco City credit card for almost all of my transactions. I pay it off once or twice a month, but it is still technically debt, especially if I don't get to paying it off fast enough. That being said, if I've spent $300 on groceries, but then I make a $300 payment on my credit card, will it be counting that money twice? How would you suggest I go about recording that? I got you. Let's crack open your budget and take a look at what's happening. Okay, let's see what she's got going on here. She does have money left over in this particular month, $651. She's got student loans of $28,589. Looks like she financed her driveway at $14,536 at 6.79% interest. And then it looks like she may have a bank loan for $8,400 at 2.74%. This might be a car, actually. So altogether, we're looking at the $51,531. Let's take a look at the budget. In regards to the credit card, I don't want to forget that. If you're making a payment, but then you put money on it, the way that I look at credit card spending as it relates to your budget is whatever spending you're doing on your credit card gets counted as part of your budget in the month. So if I'm spending $56 on groceries, I'm spending $21 on restaurants, I'm spending $6 at a pharmacy, you're going to add that as part of your actual spending inside of your budget. That money has been spent. When you actually go to pay it off, you're just paying it off. You do not count your credit card payments as part of your budget because it's already counted as part of those budgeted transactions inside of the budget template. So Don't count the credit card transaction payment because then you'd be counting it twice. Let me take a look at some of your fixed expenses. We have tithing of $564. The mortgage payment is only $1,000. I love that. Your cell phone is only $35. I bet you're using Mint Mobile, which I love Mint. We also have a lot of your utilities look pretty good. Looks like you may have created some sinking funds here, especially for car and home maintenance, which I really like. Groceries, $800 for a family of 4. That's actually really good. I think this is looking great, except for, health is $678. Tell me more. Counseling, doctor's appointments, and prescriptions take up most of the health portion. Counseling, I totally get. Doctor's appointments, I'm curious what kind of health plan you have, because if your husband has a health insurance plan, I would be very curious, especially during open enrollment, to maybe look at some other options, because $678 per month out of pocket for your medical expenses is not good. Gym, preschool, dance and swim, and we got animals. We've got all of our fun stuff. Looks like we're spending money on restaurants, clothing, shopping, but not overspending, it looks like, so that's really good. You also said you had $8,500 in your emergency fund. You're putting $500 per month towards that. Let's take a look at how much you would need for a starter emergency fund, which is equal to 2 to 3 months of basic living expenses. Your basic living expenses basically looks at your mortgage, your utilities. Let's also factor in groceries, your car gas. We'll go ahead and put the health stuff in there. Preschool, I would also say, is part of that. Okay, I'm not including health and car insurance, yes, HOA, and we'll do car maintenance. All right, so we're looking at about $3,800 all in for your basic living expenses. So if I did 3,800 times 3, we're looking at $11,400. If we did 3,800 times 2, 7,600. So you're right above that sweet spot in between, like you're at about 10 weeks of basic living expenses covered in your emergency fund. So what's really great news for you is you have the option to stop contributing to your emergency fund right now, and you can pivot into paying down your debt and starting to pay that off. Okay, so I can see how she's getting a little stressed out from some of the spending areas though, because she's got a lot of different things going on, especially when you're juggling animals, your kids' activities, preschool, all the fun money stuff. This stressed out mom just needs the right resources and tools to help her make financial decisions on the go, which is why I think Monarch Money actually could be a really good tool for you. So this way she can anticipate expenses as they happen, and she can track those expenses in real time. So you can see how much you've spent in certain categories, and you can make adjustments throughout the week. I myself like to use a hybrid of spreadsheet and a budgeting app so that when I'm on the go, I'm out and about, I can quickly check to see exactly how much I have left in a budgeted category before I walk into the grocery store, before I walk into Marshall's, Target, whatever. And I'm making sure I have enough money to cover that budget and not go over. So if you want to get 50% off your annual subscription to Monarch Money, you can head over to monarchmoney.com/debtfreemillennials, enter the promo code DEBTFREE, or use the link in the description box below. I think this is a fabulous tool for those who are constantly on the go. They're busy moms, they're a little stressed, they're a little overwhelmed, and this is a great way for you to fix and make those financial decisions on the fly without having to shuffle through your transactions in your credit card or bank account statements. So let me go back to addressing the emergency fund, because here is where I think you could just go ahead and zero out that $500 contribution and start putting it towards your debt. So I went ahead and plugged this into a debt reduction calculator to show you what that looks like. We've got student loans, driveway, and car loan. So all in, we've got 129 monthly minimum payments, not including the student loans, but I have a feeling that's going to kick back into gear for you. We can add in an extra, I put 470. Let's see if I can do this for 1330. There we go. Okay, so if all in, you're putting in 1330 right now. If we were to do the snowball debt payoff strategy, which is paying off the smallest outstanding balance first, you'd have that paid off in less than a year. 8 months to get that paid off. The driveway's paid off in 1.5 years, and then the student loans are done in about 3 years. And what's really cool about this is with all of my private one-on-one coaching clients, I always try to make them a 5-year debt-free plan. Most of the time I want to like creep into that 3-year plan, and oftentimes people are so pumped and motivated that they get it paid in less than that time span. So I love that this is already automatically working out for you with just an extra $500 going towards your debt. Let's move on to your goal of wanting to buy a bigger house. So you already mentioned this. In order to move into a new house and keep the existing one and rent it out, you're going to have to build up a brand new down payment, which can be really daunting for people. But you know what would help you stay on track with that goal is if you had the visual progress. So what I like about Monarch is you can actually create several goals inside of your dashboard, inside of your account, and you can track that progress. You can even link transactions, those savings transactions, to that goal so you can keep track of that in real time. So here you can see if you were to create a down payment goal inside of Monarch, you can link the exact savings account that it goes towards, and then you can link those transfer dollar amounts into that goal and see your progress month to month. I find that really inspiring and motivating for me to be like, yes, I'm getting that down payment because I want to create this rental property and I want to buy this new house. Let's talk about the shame and how to get ahead and feeling really good about our financial decisions. I want you to try an exercise from my private coaching program. So for the next 2 weeks, I want you to record all of your fun money spending in a journal, and you can focus on a specific category. Like here I did restaurants, or you could do shopping, or it could just be any fun. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, you're going to write down whether you felt positive, negative, or neutral about the purchase. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to do when, where you went, how much you spent, and then that's it. Leave this column blank for now. And then at the end of, you could either do this on a weekly basis or you could do this at the end of the 2 weeks. You're going to write whether you felt positive, negative, or neutral, or just do little smiley faces like I did. Then what you're going to do is you're going to begin to filter out the purchases that make you feel bad and focus on the ones that make you feel excited, that make you feel happy. And on the flip side of actual purchases, I want you to do another exercise. This one is called contentment activities. You're going to set a timer for the next 5 minutes. And for 5 minutes straight, you're going to write down every single thing that you like to do that is fun and free, that reflects your core values. So factor in any activities that reflect your core values. And I actually made this list in probably less than 60 seconds. I want to say this is 45 seconds altogether. So when I made this list, now I can take a look and say, how am I going to factor in these contentment activities into my life for this week? Pick one. Anytime you feel spendy, go back to your contentment activities and choose something to do. It can be as simple as doing a bubble bath at night. Declutter a closet? Yes, please. Working out always gives you those endorphins. Yes. So I think this is where you could really get away from impulsivity from spending and reflect back on who you are as a person and realize that you don't have to spend money in order to feel happy. Now, you mentioned you would put off the mortgage payment until you got paid next, and that tells me that you don't have enough buffer inside of your checking account, and I think that's something you absolutely need to work on. So even before you take that $500 that you're putting towards the emergency fund, towards the debt, I would actually use that $500 as a buffer inside of your checking account. We need to make sure that there is enough money floating in there to help help you ebb and flow between expenses as they're due. And since your mortgage payment is only $1,000, I would aim for about $1,000 to $1,500 inside of your checking account at all times. That $1,500 is your new zero. That's your new baseline. If we go under that amount, sound the alarm. We need to fix things because we want to make sure there's always enough money inside of that checking account to cover those buffer experiences as you float from paycheck to paycheck and as those expenses are coming in and out month to month. Okay, so you mentioned that you do your budget weekly as part of your routine, and I want to offer a challenge for you. So whenever you're getting ready to go out for restaurants, you're going shopping, groceries, I want you to check the amount remaining in your budget prior to you walking into a retailer. Now you can make this very fast and on the go by using Monarch Money because it's going to show you those visual progress bars where it's going to go from green to red real quick if you are overspending, and that's going to help you just signal to your brain, like let's rein in on those spending habits. Let's take a step back and see exactly where I can get creative here to get me through until we can replenish that budget again. And a really great feature of Monarch Money is it has flex budgeting. So you know how I like to do the categories. You got categories right here. You can actually simplify it by using a flex budget for that discretionary spending. So it keeps it kind of high level for you so that you don't have to get so granular. However, if you like the granular and you like the categories, you can keep it as such so that you can track each line item and those expenses as they occur. Okay, so we talked about anticipating expenses ahead of time by tracking your progress on your budget, especially using those visual progress bars in Monarch Money. You're also addressing your goals in order of priority. We are taking a look at the emergency fund. Do you want to top it off at $9,000? Then you can stop and then redirect that money into building up your checking account buffer. Then we're going to redirect that money to paying off your debt. Then when the bulk of that debt is done, we're going to redirect and putting even more money towards the down payment. You could do the debt payoff and the down payment simultaneously, so long as the debt is getting the bulk of that discretionary income. I want to see $500 going towards the debt each month and maybe a smaller amount of like $100 to start off with for the down payment. Then once all of that debt or the bulk of that debt is done, and I say bulk because the student loans will take the longest, and if you're like, I don't got 3 years that I want to wait to move into my new house, then we could look at making some adjustments in terms of how much discretionary income we're putting towards the debt and the down payment. I think you totally could do both, so long as you still have that priority hierarchy in play. And reconnecting with your relationship with money. If you can do all of those things, then this is going to get your budget right on track. Thank you again to today's sponsor, Monarch Money. If you want 50% off your annual subscription, head over to monarch.com/debt-free-millennials to get 50% off and enter the promo code DEBT-FREE or use the link in the description box below. And if you want to get your budget reviewed anonymously for free on the channel, fill out the Google form below and I'll catch you in the next one.